Obviously, first for your AC work, you want to have the system completely discharged, preferably by a shop. You can just pull out the Schrader valve or stick something in it and let the whole system go, but that's really not the best way, not the way you should do it. So after your system is professionally discharged, for this step you'll need you need 4 wrenches, 17, 19, 24, and 27. I don't even have a 27, so I just use a crescent wrench. Here's the end of the upper intake manifold. Down here, where your 2 lines go into the firewall. Here's your low side, and here's your high side. So, let me see that a little better. There's your high side right there. There's your low side, there's your high side. For the high side fitting, or high side union, you want to hold still the fitting that's on the firewall side. You can't really see that on the camera, but because you don't want to twist that. That's a line that leads straight into the evaporator. So hold that 17 still on the firewall side and break loose the high side fitting with the 19. And here it wasn't completely discharged. There's a little pressure left. And there's a bunch of oil boiling out there. And for the high side fitting, 24, it's on the firewall side. Damn it, low side fitting, 24, it's on the firewall side right here. And just use a crescent wrench. 27 fitting on the low side pipe. Oops. Again, hold that 24 still and crack that big nut open. Really, I don't know anyone that has a 27mm wrench. The only times I come across needing them are on Toyota alignments, doing Land Rover stuff. It's not something you can use very often at all. A crescent wrench works pretty well in most applications. Separate the high side line. Alright, and now we move into the car. Okay, for working inside the car, you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver, utility knife, or side cutters, because you're going to be cutting shit up. You need a 10mm socket, or you can use a Phillips head screwdriver again. Typical Nissan bolts. Alright, so starting with the glove box. It's a bunch of Phillips head screws. Four along the top, 2 at the outer edges, and 2 holding that latch plate on. And there's 2 at the bottom. When you take these out, your glove box will fall down. Get the whole assembly out of there. Broke that. Disconnect the switch that controls the light. Move that out of the way. Okay, now you can see here, that box is where the evaporator and expansion valve are located. What you're going to want to do is tuck this harness out of the way. Phillips head screwdriver, this metal support plate right here. Again, 4 Phillips head screws. Pull that off. Then you're going to be cutting off this plastic section right here. This is only to hold it together during molding. It really isn't necessary. The 2 outer screws in that metal plate still go into a metal frame behind the dash. So you're good on that. So get your utility knife or side cutters. Just trim that thing off. Okay, now that's out of the way. Alright, now you got that off. There's a connector right here. Need to disconnect. just pushing the tab, pull it out, tuck that harness out of the way. Now you've got 4 10mm head bolts to hold this box into place. You got one right there, one right there, one there, another one hidden right there. I'm gonna go ahead and take those 4 bolts out. You can use either a 10mm socket or nut driver, or they also have a, you see, you can use a Phillips head right in the middle. Now you got those 4 out, just pull on the box and get a grip on it. And there you go. It slides right out. See here, there's your evaporator core. You can see on both sides. There's where your fittings come through the firewall. As you can see, those nuts right there are a part of the actual line, so you don't want to twist that, you'll break the line on it. There's the drain from your evaporator box that goes through the firewall. See where it goes through. Right there is where the drain goes through the firewall. You also want to be careful you don't leave this evaporator box sitting lines down, or you'll piss refrigerant oil all over the place. There's where your lines go through the firewall. You can see over here, it's a blend door motor. Not blend door. Here's your blower motor assembly. This actually looks pretty easy to service. And then down that way is your heater core, which you do have to take the dash out to remove. But luckily the evaporator box is extremely easy. Of course, reinstallation is opposite of removal. Go ahead and throw it back up in there. Make sure your fittings get through the firewall. And your drain also goes through the firewall. Let's see. There we go. Shove her back up in place. Put these 4, they're really not bolts, they're self-tapping, so put these 4 10mm screws back in. Oops. Okay, those are back in. Make sure you plug in this harness right here that goes to the temp sensor on the evaporator. Alright, put this metal brace back on. Like I said, you cut off 2 of these. Where 2 screws used to go through, but you don't really need them. So you just go ahead and throw this brace back on here. And the brace is actually what has the lower threaded holes for your glove box. So you're not losing any kind of structural integrity by removing these 4, by removing 2 of those screws when you cut out the plastic piece. So put your 2 remaining screws back in. Look at it this way, you have 2 extra screws for replacing any other interior screws that are lost. I know I have a lot that are missing. Okay, once that's back on, it's ready to go ahead and throw your glove box back in. Grab that harness you tucked away earlier for the switch and the light bulb. This bulb is blown. Slide your bulb back in place. Oh, this one's also broken. Okay. Plug your switch in and clip it back in over here. Okay. Damn, broke that one off too. Shit. Okay. Now, stick your glove box back up in place. 6 screws back in. I like to get one in on the bottom first, so it kind of stays in place. Then get one up on top, and then you're safe to let go of it. Let's get all 4 outer screws in first. Find the damn hole. There we go. Battery's dying. Okay. Now set your latch assembly back in place on the upper side of your glove box. And it's got 2 alignment pins, so you can't really get it on there wrong. As I just tried to do. Your 2 remaining screws go through this latch. And you're done inside the car. Amazingly easy. Now you should have left over 2 screws, 2 of these clips, and of course that plastic useless piece you cut off. Alright, going back onto the hood. You smell that damn hag oil, which is nasty. Alright, so you want to go ahead and reconnect your lines up here. Now you're supposed to be using new O-rings and lubing them up with ester or with pag oil. Or ester, whichever you have on you, really. But these got soaked by oil when I disconnected the lines, so I'm not even going to bother. And the O-rings look good. I've already checked them out. So what I'm going to do is obviously throw these on by hand first. Pipe fittings can tend to be a major pain in the ass. Maybe give it a little gentle persuasion. Nope, it's not going on right. Cross threading. No, I'm going to do the high side first anyway. Sure you get them lines on there nice and straight. I should thread on there with no problem. You can just use 1 wrench to run them down, but you need both wrenches when you're going to tighten and do the final tightening, because otherwise you will more than likely start to twist that line going to the evaporator. Then you need a new evaporator. Alright, got those lines on. High side was a pain in the ass for some reason, but here we go. Now, do your final tightening. Like I said, keep a wrench on the far wall on the evaporator side. Hold that still while you're turning the line side. You want to get them tight, but you don't want to crank down on them so bad that you can completely strip out the union nuts, because then you got to replace the line. Alright, after that's done, if that's all the AC work you got to do, go ahead and take it to a shop, have it evac, charged up, and hopefully you got some ice cold AC for a long time to come. Potential points of failure here, those O-rings, and of course strip out the lines, twisting the lines off the evaporator. You really should be getting new O-rings and oiling them up and putting them on the lines. Like I said, run those nuts down by hand as far as you can, and then tighten them up. Final tightening with a pair of wrenches. Anything else than that, and you could tear up the O-rings or tear up the threads on the evaporator or the lines. Bunch of not good things, basically. So you are complete in replacing the evaporator and expansion valve in your 4th gen Maxima.